Some voices fade with time. Others echo forever. And then there's Neil Diamond, the man whose songs became the heartbeat of a nation. For more than 60 years, his music wasn't just played, it was felt. He gave us Sweet Caroline, the song that turned strangers into friends and stadiums into choirs. It became more than a melody. It was a ritual, a shared moment of joy and belonging that crossed generations. But behind that golden voice was a man quietly breaking. 2 failed marriages, long nights on the road, a loneliness that no applause could ever drown out. Neil Diamond gave everything he had to the stage, and now the stage has gone silent. At 84, the legendary singer who once commanded tens of thousands now fights a private battle against Parkinson's disease, a condition that has stolen his rhythm but never his soul. Each morning, he still sits by the piano in his mountain home, his hands trembling as they hover above the keys. And even when he can't play, he hums. Because deep inside, the song refuses to die. But to understand how this man turned pain into poetry, how a shy boy from Brooklyn became the voice of America, we have to return to where it all began. To the silence before the music. To the boy who dreamed his way out of hunger. Brooklyn, the air smelled of coal smoke and salt. The world was at war, and in a cramped apartment on a quiet street, a baby named Neil Diamond took his first breath. His parents, Akiba Kiva and Rose Diamond, were Jewish immigrants from Russia and Poland. They arrived in America with nothing but hope and the belief that hard work could still lead to light. Kivi sold dry goods door to door. Rose prayed that the rent would hold. They survived on faith, not fortune. Winters were cruel. The wind crept through the walls and the radiator's hiss was their lullaby. When Kiev was drafted into the army, the fragile peace shattered. Rose gathered her sons and boarded a train west to Cheyenne, Wyoming. There, in a place so open and empty it felt like another planet, young Neil found his first escape, not in people but in sound. He'd slip into the local cinema for warmth, sitting in the dark as Gene Autry and Roy Rogers sang across the screen. Their voices were steady, brave, whole. They sang about hope, about home, about something better waiting just beyond the horizon. He would later say softly, "It wasn't an easy home, but it was filled with love and a lot of silence. Music became how I talked to the world when words didn't work." When the war ended, the family returned to Brighton Beach. The sea breeze mixed with the shouts of vendors and the laughter of families chasing the American dream. But for Neil, the dream was quieter, a boy staring out the window, wondering what it would take to be heard. Then, on his 15th birthday, his parents gave him a $9 guitar. It was cheap, scratched, and slightly out of tune, but in his hands it became a lifeline. He practiced until his fingertips blistered. He stayed up late under a single lamp whispering melodies to the walls. That guitar didn't just make music, it made meaning. At 16, he wrote his first song, "Hear Them Bells for a Girl at School." It wasn't love that changed him that day, it was discovery. He realized that music could make him seen. That same year, his grades slipped, but his purpose became clear. He wasn't born to study medicine or business. He was born to turn silence into song. By 1958, Neil Diamond was a young man with a steady hand and an unsteady heart. He had earned a fencing scholarship to New York University, studying pre-med, just as his parents hoped. But while his classmates memorized anatomy charts, Neil was memorizing melodies. Between classes, he'd sneak away to Tin Pan Alley, a narrow street lined with music publishers and cigarette smoke. He'd knock on every door, clutching his guitar, his voice trembling with hope.
"Can I play you something?"
Most said no. Some didn't even look up. But Neil returned the next day, and the next. He was too honest for a business built on imitation, too raw for an industry that preferred easy charm. But failure didn't stop him, it shaped him. When Sunbeam Music finally gave him a $50 a week songwriting job, he took it as a gift from fate. The office was small, the piano broken, the pay laughable, but to Neil, it was everything. He wrote from morning to midnight, eating little, sleeping less. Too sad, they told him, too strange. They fired him. Broke and heartbroken, Neil moved into a tiny room above the Birdland Jazz Club. Downstairs, the city's best musicians played for crowds. Upstairs, Neil played for no one. I wrote, he would later say, because I had nothing else. Every no became a scar, and every scar became a song. He lived on coffee and rolls. He pressed his guitar to his chest for warmth. And in that loneliness, he began to hear the first notes of Solitary Man. When Columbia Records gave him a small chance with Clowntown, it failed miserably. But by 1965, his song Sunday and Me finally hit the charts, and the world started listening. Soon after, he wrote I'm a Believer for the Monkees. It sold millions. And just like that, the boy who once played for the walls of Birdland became the man whose songs played everywhere. Still, inside, the hunger remained. He had found success, but not peace. Fame came fast, like a storm. Crowds screamed his name. Radios played his songs from coast to coast. But when the lights dimmed, the applause faded into silence. That silence haunted him. Solitary Man wasn't just a song, it was a confession. A declaration from a man who had finally been heard, yet still felt invisible. And then, in 1969, came the song that would make him immortal. One hotel room, 1 hour, one burst of light. Sweet Caroline. He later said he wrote it for the innocence of a child, but what came out was something deeper, something eternal. When he sang it live for the first time, something remarkable happened. The crowd didn't just listen. They joined. They clapped. They swayed. They sang every word. A single voice became thousands, bound by joy. It was magic, Neil said years later. They made the song theirs. And from that night on, Sweet Caroline stopped belonging to him. It became a hymn of hope, a celebration that refused to die. But the same man who wrote about unity was still haunted by solitude. The world found joy in my melody, he said, while I remained the solitary man behind it. Through the 1970s, every song rose higher. Cracklin' Rosie, Song Sung Blue, America, Beautiful Noise. His concerts became rituals of catharsis. 10 nights at the Greek Theater sold out in Hot August Night became gospel. But behind the curtain, he often collapsed into a chair, drenched in sweat, whispering, I gave them everything. And when Broadway came calling, Neil said yes. He performed 20 sold-out nights at the Winter Garden Theater, the first rock star to ever do it. Columbia Records rewarded him with a $5 million contract, unimaginable wealth for a boy who once lived on 35 cents a day. But even success has a cost. I was chasing perfection, he later admitted, and perfection was killing me. Behind the hits and headlines, Neil Diamond was losing what mattered most. His first wife, Jay Posner, had loved him long before the fame. They married young, built a family in Brooklyn, and had 2 daughters, Marjorie and Ellen. But as his music conquered the world, home fell silent. He belonged to everyone now, she once whispered, just not to us. In 1969, the marriage ended quietly. No scandals, no fights, just 2 people standing on opposite sides of a dream. Neil once said, "You can't take your kids on the road," and I took the road. Then came Marcia Murphy, a bright TV producer who saw beyond the fame. She loved him when he was most exhausted, the man behind the spotlight. Together, they built a life in Los Angeles. 2 sons followed, Jesse and Micah, their laughter filling the hallways that guitars lined. For a while, it seemed Neil had found his harmony. He wrote, he played, he loved. But the road never stopped calling. Tour after tour blurred the years into a haze of hotel rooms and endless applause. Marcia raised their children mostly alone, watching her husband's face on TV while the dinner table sat half empty. He always came back, she said softly, just not all of him. By the late 1980s, Neil was bone-tired, a man hollowed out by applause. He sang through fevers, through back pain so fierce it left him gasping backstage. But he never stopped. You can't give the world your soul, he said, and still have enough left for home. In 1995, after 26 years, their marriage ended, with kindness, not cruelty. The divorce settlement was staggering, $150 million, but when asked if he regretted it, Neil shook his head. She was worth every penny, he said. And with that, he walked into the quiet ruins of success, surrounded by gold records and silence. By the mid-1990s, Neil Diamond was rich, celebrated, and deeply alone. Then, on tour in Australia, he met Ray Farley, a woman who didn't see the legend, only the man. She was graceful, calm, and unafraid of his silences. She reminded me who I was before the noise, he later said. Their love wasn't fiery, it was gentle, the kind that heals rather than burns. They walked along vineyards, talked about everything and nothing. For once, Neil stopped running. When Ray suffered a severe back injury, Neil stayed. He cooked, read to her, and held her hand through nights of pain. The music stopped, but love kept playing. It wasn't glamour, he said, it was devotion. But even the kindest love can fade. By 2008, they parted quietly. Sometimes love doesn't die, he whispered, it just runs out of road. Then came one final chapter, one final chance at peace. In 2009, he met Katie McNeil, a young tour manager who steadied his storm. She was nearly 30 years younger, but their souls matched in rhythm. She didn't see a legend, Neil said. She saw a man who still had something left to give. They married in 2012 under the California sun. No cameras, no headlines, just love. She gave me something I thought I'd lost, he said, a home I didn't have to sing for. When Parkinson's began to shadow his life, Katie became his guardian angel. His voice, his caretaker, his calm. She saved me from needing to prove anything, he told a friend. For the first time, I could just be. Now, in their Colorado home, the two live quietly. Sometimes she finds him at the piano late at night, his fingers shaking. You don't have to, she whispers. He smiles. The music's still in there. It just takes longer to come out. For decades, Neil had sung about heartbreak. Now heartbreak had found him. The first tremor was small, barely a ripple. Then came stiffness, fatigue, the betrayal of his own hands. Parkinson's disease. It can't be, he told his doctor. I still have work to do. But Parkinson's doesn't negotiate. It moves slowly, silently, taking away rhythm, balance, and control, the very things that defined his life. He tried to fight it with rehearsals, therapy, faith, but in 2018 he made the hardest choice of all, to walk away from the stage. It's with great reluctance, he said in his farewell statement, but this is the hand God's given me. The world wept. Not just because he was ill, but because everyone knew he would have sung until his last breath if his body had allowed it. Now at 84, his movements are slower, his voice softer, but his fire still there. I still sing, he says quietly, because when I do, everything inside me still works together. It's a different kind of courage, not the kind that fills arenas, but the kind that survives the silence afterward. Even as the disease advances, Neil's calm deepens. I like it, he said once. I'm easier on people now, easier on myself. That peace didn't come from fame, it came from acceptance. He no longer sings for the world. He sings to remember who he is. High in the Colorado mountains, surrounded by pine and snow, Neil Diamond lives in a home that feels suspended between earth and heaven. The walls are lined with gold and platinum records, not as trophies, but as memories. Beside the grand piano hangs the same $9 guitar that began it all. He wakes slowly, takes his walk with a cane, feels the wind on his face. And when the world sings Sweet Caroline in bars, weddings, and stadiums, he smiles because he knows he's still there in every chorus, in every voice. His fortune, $300 million. His home, peaceful. His heart, finally at rest. I used to chase the world, he says softly. Now I let it come to me. Sometimes he and Katie sit together at sunset, the light catching the snow outside. He hums the old songs, Hello Again, Love on the Rocks, Sweet Caroline. No audience, no spotlight, just the man, the woman, and the music that never stopped. His life isn't a concert anymore. It's a testament to endurance, to love, to faith in the face of time. Neil Diamond turned loneliness into melody and heartbreak into harmony. He taught the world that even when the music hurts, you keep singing. From a poor boy in Brooklyn with a $9 guitar to one of the greatest voices ever to grace a stage, his story is proof that greatness isn't about applause. It's about endurance, about how long you can keep your rhythm alive when everything else fades away. And though he may be saying goodbye to the stage, Neil Diamond's song will never end. Because legends don't fade, they echo.